Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 3. In this lesson, we are going to look at links in HTML. My name is Mildred. Last week we looked at hyperlinks and how we can create a link with an anchor tag. This week we want to look deeply at creating links and how we can also use bookmarks on a very long page. So when we create a link using the anchor tag, we use the href attributes to specify the link to the resource or the page that we are trying to go to, and then we use the target attributes to specify where we want that link to open, either in the same browser window or in a different location within the page. And then we can use a class attribute to specify a style that is created using a class selector. We can do this for several links on the page, and whenever we have a navigation bar on a page, what we usually use to move from one page to another is the anchor tag. Now there are default styles for this anchor tag, and let's go to that web page for us to see that. So we have this default style when a link that is not visited is blue in color, when the link that is visited is purple like this, and the link that is active is red, and all the links are underlined by default. While we can use CSS to change all of this, we are not doing that in this course but in the CSS course, where we can beautify this and make it look like a navigation bar. We can also use buttons, and instead of seeing this text Facebook, we can use icons also as what the user sees and clicks on. So all of this will look deeply as we go along. So this is a basic link, and we also said that we have a default display of each element in HTML, and when we have inline elements like this, they continue on the same line, and if you want to make this on a new line, you can change that default display value, but that again is in the CSS course. In HTML, however, we can use the break tag to make each link start on a new line, right? So I can use break like this, and now when we see these first two links, we'll start on a new line like this. So we can do whatever we want with our links, style it whichever way we want, use images as what we want to click on, or use icons as what we want to click on. Now when we specify the page we want to jump to, like the value of the href attribute, we can have an absolute URL, which is like what we have specified here, that have the full web address, or we can have a relative URL, like having just the paths within the same local server or the same local file. So the relative one is path within the same resource, and then the absolute one has the full web address. So let's say we want to create a link or several links for this page for hyperlink. Let's do an example of this. We want to have, let's say we want to have, I'm going to comment this out and I'll take this out, a link. So let's say we'll have like 4 links. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here 3 times. So we have this 4 links. Between the start and end anchor tag, we can put an image, we can put an icon, or whatever we want the user to see and click on. For now, let's just put text. So let's say I have an about us, I have a courses link, I have resources, contact us. So I have the following links, and I want these links to link to a page. I'm going to use the href attribute to specify the resource that I want to link to when a user clicks on this. Now normally we have several pages, and then we put the relative paths that depends on the base URL or the href attributes, or we just use the full web address as an absolute URL. But because we don't want to have several pages, we want to have all of this content on the same page, which means we are going to have a very long page, and we want the users to be able to jump from one part of the page to the other, or from one section of a content to the other. So we want to have like the about us heading, and when the user clicks on this, it jumps to just that part of the about us. And the courses, when you click on courses, it skips the about us and starts from the beginning of courses and things like that. So let's try to create this bookmark hyperlink that we can use to do that. When we have very long pages like this, we use the ID attribute to specify the place we want to jump to. So for the href attribute, we are going to use the hash sign and whatever value we give to the ID attribute for that part. So in the body here, let's say we have, let's say h3 about us, and then we have another section. Now we'll put an ID attribute here is equal to, so let's say the ID is equal to about. And so after the pound sign, we put about for the href attribute for the about us. The same thing with these courses, here resources, and here contact. So which means we're going to have ID equal to courses, ID equal to. So we have these three sections. Let's refresh our page to see we have those sections. So when we click on this, because the page is not long yet, we won't see it jump from one part to the other just yet until we have content. So let's put content in this body area. So let me write a text here. So I have pasted long text on every part of this, and when we refresh our page, we'll see that it is filled with text. Now we'll see this is so long and we have to scroll to look at contact. So let's say a user wants to look at the contact and clicks on contact. It should just come to show us where the contact starts from there. When we come to resources, it should start from resources. When we come to courses, it should start from courses. So you see how it enables us to jump from one part of the page to the other. So whenever you want to create links, just remember that you can use a link to jump from one page to another, or to create bookmarks to be able to jump to different sections of a page using the ID attribute on the start tag of the heading of the section where you want to jump to. In the href attributes, we can also do, like for the contact us, instead of writing anything, we can use the anchor tag like this, and in the href attribute of this, we want to specify a mail address that it goes to. So let's say, for instance, we want to send an email. You want this to redirect to an email resource. So we'll say mail to, and then we'll specify the email address. Let's say info@schoolofprogramming.online, and here I'll write email us. So something like this. When I refresh my page and I come to the contact part of the page, I'll see email us. When I click on this, it directs me to a mailbox where I can send an email like that. Alright, so this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to look at images in HTML. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.